So we were really pleased to finally do our first UK trip. It's been a lot of driving around mainland Europe, dropping people off in Czech Republic, Spain, Portugal, Germany, France and so on. So to finally get to the UK felt really good. People are getting visas coming through now, and we had 10 people plus a little dog, Charlie, who were all heading for the UK at the same time. So we set off from Przemysl, which is just on the border with Poland and Ukraine, and did a bit of a long round of picking up people. So a couple of people at our starting point, and then the next 4 pickups were quite widely spaced out, including our final pickup of Katerina and her husband Alexander from Warsaw. So we didn't actually get to Warsaw, despite a 9 o'clock start in the morning. We didn't get to Warsaw until nearly 7 o'clock in the evening. So some people hadn't travelled too far towards the UK. So it was good to get Katerina and Alexander on board and finally start heading in the right direction. So we spent our first night in Poland, and then on our second day we managed to get a good many miles in, finished driving through Poland, all the way through Germany, and made it as far as Holland before we needed to have another stop. So that left us only a few hours drive till we got to the where we get the tunnel. We had hoped to get the ferry, but that proved to be logistically a bit tricky, so we ended up in the tunnel, which doesn't have quite the same thing going for it in terms of views as arriving in the UK, but it was pretty efficient, and we were relieved to have no issues when it came to visas and passports. That had all been sorted out as much as possible, but it was a relief for that all to work smoothly, and Charlie was accepted with no problem as well. He gave the border guard a little bit of a fright. The border guard came on to check the bus when we were all off it, but Charlie was keeping guard and gave the border guard a good yapping to, which gave him a fright and made his colleagues very amused. So we then got into the UK. We met up with Francis's son Kieran at Dobbies Garden Centre car park, and that's where we dropped off Inna and Charlie, because Kieran had kindly offered to take her and Charlie up to Cambridge. This really helped with our route, our own UK route. So rather than zigzagging up the country, we could do a more sensible, shorter route. We were also met at Dobbies Garden Centre by Meridian TV cameras. So one of the videos on this channel, you can see Francis and some of our passengers talking there. Next stop for us was Bristol, and this is where we dropped off Nadia. Nadia was a great passenger. Poor Nadia, she had a cough, a really bad cough, all the time she was on the bus, and was clearly suffering. But despite this, she really managed somehow to be cheerful, always wanting to get involved with photos, and just really pleasant woman. So we dropped her off in Bristol with her lovely host family, and again we were met by TV cameras, this time BBC, the local Point West, and again you can see a video about that on the channel. It was quite funny. As we arrived, we could see somebody who looked like he might be the BBC chap, and certainly was, and he turned round and saw us arriving and then rushed over and said, would we mind arriving again? So to our amusement, we agreed. What's one more mile on top of all the others. So we did we went round the block and let him film us re-arriving at Nadia's. So after Nadia, that left us in Bristol, middle of the evening, so we spent the night in Bristol, had a meal out. And then the next day we were off up to Liverpool, the Wirral, where we did a drop-off, followed by, I think it was Lancashire next, and then Sowerby in Yorkshire. And that was a lovely scenic drive between Lancashire and Sowerby. We were welcomed at Sowerby with some food, which was delightful for me. Lots of vegetarian food, which we gratefully received, and headed then on our way up to Scotland, because our remaining 3 passengers were understandably very keen to get to where they were going after such a long journey. So we got up to Scotland, crossed the border, beautiful sunshine, thank you Scotland, lovely scenery, and what a lovely welcome for our passengers who are going to be spending, well, I don't know how long they're going to be spending, but lovely welcome for them. And we finally made it up to Hawick, and that was the end of our first trip from Poland to the UK.